The Omicron could cause disruption. However, like COVID, it's going to be temporary. Right? It's going to be a temporary disruption. And you look at GDP forecasts, you're going to have the same outcome by this time next year. However, it's either going to be steady if this variant doesn't spread, or it's going to be extremely volatile over the next 2 quarters and then go back to normal by the end of 2022. Hopefully, I'm not losing you here, because the meaning of this is simple. If you're a long-term investor, you should be buying here, not selling, since this is a temporary setback. And again, that's if the worst-case scenario hits and it spreads through the U.S. and we see mandates and lockdowns. I don't think we're going to go to lockdowns too much. Maybe in New York, California, it just doesn't like other countries right now. Maybe we see that, but we're probably not going to go lockdown. But you're going to see things close and maybe travel restrictions and stuff like that. Worst case scenario. But, by 2022, a year from now, we're going to have the same outcome. It's either going to be, hey, it's going to chug along higher and higher, or we're going to see a massive drop followed by a huge rise as GDP comes back and everything reopens. Same thing. So if you're looking at airlines, hotels, cruise lines, and these got nailed. If you didn't get a chance to buy before the surge, here's your opportunity. Because everything's going to open up eventually. I don't know when it would happen, but eventually it's going to open up. I'm not talking about 5 years from now. And you're investing in uranium like 7 years ago. And you're like, well, 7 years from now, we're going to see prices start to go higher. And I said, no, this is 12 months away. This is 12 months away. But here's your opportunity. Because everything's going to open up. And when it does, like we've seen with airlines and hotels, these companies have incredible pricing power. And they just reported blockbuster earnings. And for airlines to be trading at the same levels as last year, at this time, when nobody was flying and the vaccine was just being rolled out, that is insane. Especially with the quarters that they had. There's going to be restrictions in travel, the international travel. Yes, there will. It'll hurt growth a little bit. But these guys, people are flying around the U.S. They're still flying. And again, this is premature, but buying these things at these levels, at these dirt cheap levels, if we go back and we're closer to the U.S. to getting back to pre-pandemic levels, if we do that around the world, these things are doubles and triples from here inside of 18 to 36 months. That might not be a lot if you're a crypto investor, because sometimes you get 10x returns in weeks, months. We saw that with crypto intelligence, a lot of our picks. But that's a massive, massive gain. Here's your opportunity to buy a lot of these numbers, a lot of these names. But watching TV, reading the newspaper, look, just try not to get crazy. You're looking at these news outlets, their job is to scare the shit out of you. This way you read more. Nobody wants to read a story that says Omicron is mild and you have nothing to worry about. That's not exciting. You know what's exciting to these news agencies? CNN having the COVID-19 death count on the screen every single day for 6 months. That gets people to watch. That's why they do it. Let's scare the shit out of you. They're not going to tell you 97%. The recovery rate for COVID-19 is 97%. They're not going to tell you that. They're just going to put a death rate and showing all the people that are dying and scare the shit out of you, right? That's how it makes you watch it, and that's leads directly to profits. And don't underestimate that for 1 freaking second. When it comes to Pfizer, Moderna, when it comes to these guys, you think they're doing the right thing? You're crazy. There's a reason why we don't have cures and only treatments for diseases. Because there's a cure, you no longer they can't sell drugs anymore. The massive incentive for these publicly traded companies to continue to see those profits go higher and higher and higher and higher. Do not underestimate the importance of that. That's worth seeing a few deaths here and there. We've seen that with auto companies when they refuse to recall things, and they have data showing, okay, well, if this happens, this might result in this many deaths, and then a lawsuit would be this much. Okay, let's not recall right now because we're going to make a shit ton of money. Just like Morgan Stanley and Henry Blodgett. Just keep making these stupid calls on all these freaking technology companies into the tech bubble. Who cares? What are we going to do? We're going to find a few $1 billion. We made freaking $50 billion. Who cares? We'll throw out Henry Blodgett for a couple of years. He'll start Business Insider. He'll be fine or whatever. Again, it's all planned. There's a reason why they have slush funds at these places for when they're going to get sued by the SEC or whatever and admit no guilt. But there's funds set up where they're taking this money out of because they expect it. They don't just, they just expect it and say, oh, this could happen. There's all data, analytics, and numbers behind this, knowing what's going to happen, the connections that they have, or when they would come after, what they're going to come after for. They have this. Welcome to corporate America. Money talks. That's the way it is. But if you look at the facts, which is telling us right now this variant is not deadly, and most who are getting it are young with mild symptoms, no hospitalizations. If it turns out to be worse, I suggest using a pullback as a monster buying opportunity. Because like I said, not only will the world open up again to travel, but more importantly, this scare and this new variant is going to influence the Fed, who will now hold off on raising rates because they have to. They have to hold off. They really don't have the data. If this turns out to be worse than expected and you're raising rates in this environment, holy cow. I mean, a lot of these companies are going to lose pricing power. Say if you have to lock down some of these places again or just have restrictions. You already have labor shortages, supply chain constraints, which, by the way, my data shows has been getting better over the past 3 weeks. Even Walmart cited that it's getting better, which is a positive. Want to report the news, good, bad, whatever, right? Just again, it's data. But now the Fed, I mean, he's testifying in Congress going, hey, we might have, inflation and supply chain worries with this new strain, even though we have no data on it. You testify with Congress already? How about do it 3 weeks from now when you actually find out if this hits the U.S. or if we need to worry about this? I'm saying buying back and using a pullback as a buying opportunity. I'm not saying that other factors can't push down the markets, whether it's geopolitical risk, higher taxes, terrible policies. But looking at Omicron specifically, this should not be a reason to sell, but to buy on weakness, because this is a temporary problem. And it's a good temporary problem because it scares the shit out of people that they run. And that usually results in stocks becoming very, very cheap. But it's probably not going to be a big deal in terms of deaths and hospitalizations. We're prepared. The Fed's going to have to keep rates on hold probably longer than they want, which is, sorry for cursing here, fucking insane. I have no idea why you didn't start raising rates 2 quarters ago when every single asset class not only rebounded since COVID, but they're still trading near their all-time highs. Be it pedal to the metal? Now look, now this comes and you're like, whoa, now you can't raise rates. Are you going to taper? Probably even less than you planned on. So going to be buying bonds, keeping rates low. But again, this signals it's a buying opportunity. I don't want you to go in and buy all at once, because if Omicron turns out to be worse than expected, we could see stocks pull back further on emotions. That's going to create even better buying opportunity for those who intend on holding positions longer than 12 months. If you're looking for trading opportunities, it's different. If you're a long-term holder, you should be ignoring this event. Almost all the studies I see, and it makes sense. And we even saw it with the playbook with COVID. Massive decline followed by huge positive. But if you went to sleep in 2019 and you woke up today, you wouldn't really notice anything. In terms of earnings are growing, net household wealth's at an all-time high, all asset classes are higher, things are cool. Yet, living through those 2 years, you saw a massive decline in the markets, followed by, gradual steady rise, and then some companies exploded. But if you take out all those emotions and you just say, hey, I'm holding the stocks for 24 months, you're doing pretty well. And you're sleeping good at night by not watching the news. But anyway, if you're still nervous about this new variant, that's okay, it's fine. But just remember, COVID-19, the recovery rate is above 97% for the entire population and over 99% for those under 50 years old. That was COVID-19. If you told anyone that is risking anything that there's a 97% chance that you're going to be okay if you take this risk, almost 100% of the people would take the risk, since those odds are insane. But yet you would think they're a lot worse than that, and the recovery rates are a lot worse than that. And why is that? Thank the media, thank the news sources, and thank them for scaring the shit out of you. Anyway, from a health standpoint, I wouldn't worry. From an investor standpoint, an economic fallout is going to be brought on, not by Omicron itself, but by our government and politicians. It's how crazy are they going to get this time around restrictions that clearly didn't work based on the number of deaths, which are higher in 2021, despite most of the population being vaccinated. Mind-boggling to me. And also, those consequences from being isolated, which I talked about earlier, and lockdown, cancer rates, suicide rates, depression, obesity rates have surged enormously. I mean, especially in children when it comes to obesity rates. And these are the hidden consequences of locking down, which now we have stats on this and it's everywhere.